Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into something really common, a challenge that just keeps popping up for English learners.
hmm
It's that feeling, like
Yeah,
you're stuck. You feel like you can't really push your speaking forward because, well, who do you practice with? You're alone.
that is such a frequent concern. We hear it all the time. People, they feel like, okay, they're ticking the boxes, studying the grammar, building vocab, maybe listening to shows like this one.
Right.
But then the actual speaking part, it feels like this massive hurdle because, yeah, there's no obvious conversation partner readily available.
Exactly. It feels like you're just waiting for the right person, maybe the perfect situation to magically appear so you can finally practice.
Waiting for the stars to align.
Pretty much. But this is where our deep dive today gets really fascinating because the material we've been digging into, all these sources, they point towards something pretty powerful, maybe even, well, surprising.
And that's surprising truth. Actually quite simple, but honestly, it can be a total game changer for learners. It's this. You absolutely can practice speaking English effectively and make real significant progress in your fluency, your confidence, everything, even when you're completely by yourself.
It does sound a bit counterintuitive, doesn't it? Speaking feels like it needs two people or more.
It does. That's the default assumption.
But the core idea we kept finding in this research, these articles, expert opinions, it's that a lot of people who became genuinely fluent in English, they managed large chunks of that journey without having a regular, dedicated speaking partner.
Right. They weren't just sitting back and waiting for practice opportunities to fall into their laps. No, they were proactive. They actively created those opportunities for themselves.
How, though?
Well, they didn't necessarily rely on finding someone else to talk to. Instead, they used what our sources consistently refer to as smart techniques. Methods designed to weave speaking practice right into their daily lives, their routines, even just their thoughts.
Okay, so if you're listening right now and you felt that frustration, that feeling of being held back because you don't have a partner, if you've been sort of waiting for that perfect time, consider this your moment, this deep dive. We're aiming for it to be your personal blueprint. Our whole mission today is to lay out a really complete, actionable plan. It's packed with specific techniques, things you can start doing today to practice speaking English anytime, anywhere.
Even if you feel like you're the only person speaking English for miles around.
We're going to pull back the curtain on how exactly you do this when you're solo. We'll break down the specific techniques that the evidence shows really build fluency.
We'll also look at strategies for, catching your own mistakes, self-correction, and even improving your pronunciation without needing someone else to point things out.
And crucially, how to make this solo practice feel. Well, not like a chore, right? How to make it engaging, effective, maybe even kind of fun.
That's key. Sustainability.
Absolutely. So by the time we wrap up this deep dive, the goal is you'll have this mental toolbox full of methods. You'll never have to think, oh, I can't practice speaking. I don't have a partner ever again. You'll feel empowered to practice consistently, build that confidence, all on your own terms.
Yeah, it's really about unlocking that potential for steady, low-stress practice that actually fits into your schedule, your life, wherever you happen to be.
All right, then. Ready to get into the specifics?
Let's do it. So the first technique we're pulling out, it might feel a bit, quirky, maybe even a little funny when you first think about it.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
But the material we looked at consistently flags it as probably the easiest and most effective place to start. It's simply called the talk to yourself method.
Talking to yourself? Okay, yeah, I can see why some people might pause at that. Thoughts like, isn't that weird? Or do I actually have to, speak out loud?
Right, those are natural reactions.
Yeah. So let's tackle that. Yes, it might feel a bit odd initially. And you don't necessarily have to do it out loud where people can hear you. You could do it quietly, under your breath, or even just silently in your head. But the core reason why this works, the fundamental benefit highlighted again and again in the sources, it's huge. It actively trains your brain to think directly in English.
And that is such a critical cognitive leap. So many learners, especially when they're starting out or even at intermediate stages, they get stuck in this translation loop.
Explain that loop.
Okay, so you have a thought in your native language. Then you mentally translate that thought into English. Then you try to speak it. That whole process, it's slow, it requires a lot of mental energy, and it's the main reason for those awkward hesitations and pauses we all experience.
Makes sense.
Talking to yourself, even silently, starts to bypass that loop. It forces you to build a more direct connection, a pathway between the English thoughts themselves and the English words you use to express them.
So, practically speaking, how does someone actually do this? The sources give some really down-to-earth examples. The most basic one is just narrating what you're doing right now or describing what's around you.
Yeah, take your morning routine. We all have one. Instead of just sleepwalking through it, consciously describe the steps to yourself in English. Maybe silently, maybe whispering. As you wake up, okay, alarm's going off.
Yeah.
Time to get out of bed. Feels a bit chilly this morning.
Then you shuffle to the bathroom. Right? Walk into the bathroom now. Need to brush my teeth. Where did I put the toothpaste? Ah, there it is.
Getting dressed. Okay, what should I wear today? Let me check the weather. Oh, looks sunny, but cool. Maybe this green sweater. Yeah, green sweater and these jeans.
It sounds almost too simple when you break it down like that, doesn't it?
It does. But think about what's happening linguistically there. You're using present continuous, I'm walking. Simple present, it feels chilly, looks sunny. Modals, should I wear, need to brush, asking simple questions, where is it? Using basic adjectives, chilly, green, and accessing everyday vocabulary, alarm, bed, bathroom, toothpaste, sweater, jeans.
And you're doing it all naturally, tied to your immediate context, your reality. There's no audience, no pressure, no timer yet. Just you formulating English sentences about your world.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just narrating actions. You can also narrate your internal thoughts or talk through your plans for the day.
Like what?
Well, as you're thinking about your schedule. Okay, today, right. Meeting at 10 a.m. with the team. I need to finish preparing those slides beforehand. After work, I think I'll go to the grocery store. Need milk, bread, maybe some fruit.
Or maybe you're cooking later. Okay, first, chop the onions. The recipe says finely chop. Then heat the oil in the pan. Add the garlic. Careful not to burn it. Okay, now add the chicken. Cook for, what, 5 minutes per side?
You see, now you're naturally using different tenses. Future for plans, present for instructions. Sequencing words first, then after. Specific vocabulary, slides, grocery store, recipe, chop, heat, burn. Modal verbs, need to, all go. It just flows from the situation.
The absolute key here, which the sources really stress, is to try and speak naturally. Like you're just thinking out loud or having a quiet chat with yourself. And the reason why this is so incredibly effective, they say, is because it forces your brain to form English sentences quickly and without stress. Since you're not performing for anyone, that fear of judgment, the pressure, it evaporates.
You can stumble, backtrack, try phrasing something a couple of different ways until it sounds right in your head. There's no penalty.
And doing this consistently, even in these tiny bursts throughout the day, builds that spontaneity. It makes retrieving words and structuring sentences feel much more automatic over time, less effortful.
It's fascinating from a cognitive perspective, too. We all have that inner voice, that internal monologue running constantly. This technique is about consciously hijacking that stream, even for brief periods, and switching the language to English. You're essentially capping into hours of potential practice time that requires zero external resources, just your own mind and your surroundings.
Just think about all those in-between moments. Walking to the bus stop, waiting for the kettle to boil, doing chores like washing dishes.
Exactly. Instead of letting your mind wander in your native language, try describing the scene outside the window in English, or plan your next task in English. It adds up, even 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. Cumulatively, it makes a huge difference in reducing hesitation and building fluency for when you do talk to someone.
It's like you're literally rewiring those neural pathways for English processing. So, yeah, embrace the talk to yourself method. Don't worry if it feels weird. Find those little moments. Narrate your world, your thoughts, your plans. It's foundational.
Absolutely. So that's technique one. Now, moving to our second core technique from the sources. This one adds a really crucial layer. Objective feedback. It's the voice recording technique.
Ah, yes. Recording yourself.
The material we reviewed calls this one powerful. And the reason is simple. It forces you to actually hear yourself speak English, which is, well, essential if you want to pinpoint specific areas for improvement.
This resonates so much. It's such a common experience, not just for language learners, but honestly for anyone who's ever cringed hearing their own voice on an answering machine or in a video.
Right. We just don't sound like we think we do.
Exactly. You might have no idea how fast or slow you're actually speaking or how you really pronounce certain tricky sounds, or maybe you don't realize you keep making the same little grammar mistake over and over until you hear it played back.
Listening to a recording gives you that distance. It allows you to analyze your own speech pronunciation, grammar, intonation, rhythm, fluency, more objectively, like an outside observer.
So, how do the sources suggest we actually implement this? What's the process?
It's quite structured, actually. very step-by-step.
Okay.
Step 1. Choose a simple topic. Keep it manageable. The examples given are things like, describe your favorite movie, or talk about your last vacation. Why simple? Because you want your brain focused on how you're speaking, the delivery, the language itself, not struggling to invent complex ideas or search for high-level vocabulary on the spot. Pick something you know well, something you could talk about easily in your native language.
Got it. Keep the content easy so you can focus on the form.
Precisely. Step 2. Set a timer. The suggestion is usually 1 to 2 minutes. This isn't meant to be a long speech. The time limit provides a nice container, a gentle challenge. The goal is to speak continuously about your chosen topic until that timer dings. Keep the flow going.
And then the crucial part, step 3.
Step 3. Listen back to the recording. This is where the magic or maybe the learning happens. The sources really emphasize active listening here. Don't just let it wash over you. Maybe have a pen and paper ready or a note app open. Your mission is to write down any mistakes or areas for improvement.
Okay, but what specifically should you be listening for? It could feel overwhelming.
Good question. Be a friendly detective for your own speech. Listen for things like
Pronunciation.
definitely. Are there specific sounds you consistently struggle with? Maybe the sound or the difference between ship and sheep, or certain vowel sounds that don't exist in your native language. Note them down.
Grammar.
For sure. Did you notice you kept using the wrong verb tense? Maybe mixing up past simple and present perfect? Or using articles a and the incorrectly? Or messing up prepositions like in, on, at? Be specific.
What else? Phrasing.
Yeah. Did some sentences just sound awkward, unnatural, clunky? Maybe you use a direct translation from your native language that doesn't quite work in English. Also, listen for fluency markers. Did you pause excessively? Use too many filler words like. Note those patterns.
That's already a lot to listen for.
It is. Don't try to fix everything at once. Just pick 1 or 2 things that jump out at you on each recording. But wait, there's an extra layer to this technique suggested in the material, an advanced step.
Oh, what's that?
Comparing your recording with a native speaker.
How would that work?
You find a piece of authentic English content, maybe a YouTube clip, a podcast segment, an audiobook chapter, where a native speaker is discussing the exact same topic you just recorded yourself on.
Ah, I see. So if I recorded myself talking about my favorite movie, I'd find a native speaker reviewing or discussing that same movie.
Exactly. Then you listen very closely to how they talk about it. Pay attention not just to their pronunciation, but also their intonation, the melody and rhythm of their speech. Notice the specific vocabulary they choose. How do they structure their sentences? How do they transition between ideas?
And the goal isn't necessarily to sound identical to them, right? Accents are fine.
Absolutely not about erasing your accent. Accents are part of identity. The goal, as the source puts it, is to try to copy their style in terms of naturalness. Understand the flow, the common phrases, the rhythm, the standard pronunciation of key words. It helps you internalize what sounds natural in English.
You could even try recording yourself again after listening to the native speaker, trying to incorporate some of those elements you noticed.
That's a fantastic way to solidify the learning. The real power of this whole recording technique is that feedback loop. It's concrete. You hear the mistake, you identify it, you can then target it in your future practice. You move from guessing where your problems are to knowing.
It definitely requires getting over that initial hurdle of hearing your own voice, which can feel awkward.
It really can. Many people dislike it intensely at first. But if you can push past that discomfort, you unlock this incredibly valuable tool for self-assessment and focused improvement. You essentially become your own language coach.
And the tech is easy. Most phones have a built-in voice recorder that's perfectly adequate.
Totally accessible. It takes the guesswork out of identifying weaknesses. Okay, shall we move to the third technique?
Let's do it. What's next?
This one adds a visual dimension, which is quite interesting. It's called the Mirror Speaking Challenge. The sources frame it as both fun and effective.
Mirror speaking. Yeah, okay, so literally talking to your reflection.
That's the core action, yes. Stand in front of a mirror, bathroom mirror, bedroom mirror, whatever works, and just talk in English.
But what's the point of the mirror? What are you supposed to be looking at or focusing on?
Great question. The source material gives clear instructions here. As you speak, you should consciously watch your mouth, your facial expressions, and your confidence level.
Ah, okay, so it's about the visual feedback, seeing yourself speak.
Exactly. You don't get that from just talking to yourself or recording audio. Seeing your mouth form the sounds can actually help with pronunciation for some people. Seeing your facial expressions helps you connect the emotion or intent with the words. And observing your overall posture and demeanor, your confidence level, can be really revealing.
The sources say this helps you feel more comfortable speaking. How so?
By normalizing the image of yourself as an English speaker. You see yourself doing it. You become accustomed to your own face communicating in this language. Plus, the material highlights a really unique aspect. Yes. You become your own conversation partner.
Huh. Okay, how does that work? You're not just delivering a monologue to the mirror.
Not necessarily. The source explicitly suggests making it interactive. Ask yourself a question, then answer it.
Give me the example they used again.
Sure. Look at your reflection and ask, what's your favorite food? Then pause for a beat. Make eye contact with yourself and answer with enthusiasm. Oh, I love sushi. It's delicious, and I like trying different types of rolls.
Okay. I can see how that simulates a mini conversation. It forces you to switch between question formation and answer formation.
Precisely. And you can create endless pairs like this. Simple. Get to know your questions are great. What did you do last weekend? I'm mostly relaxed at home. Watched a couple of movies. What kind of music do you like? Well, I really enjoy listening to jazz, especially while I work. What's your biggest goal for this year? My biggest goal is probably to improve my English speaking skills.
Meta. I like it.
But the real value add here, according to the expert sources, is how this directly practices elements crucial for actual face-to-face conversations. Things like eye contact. Even with yourself, it builds the habit. Observing your body language. Are you using natural gestures? Standing confidently? And refining your natural expression. Does your face match your words? Are you engaging?
That's interesting. We often focus so much on just the words, the grammar, the pronunciation, but communication is so much more than that. Nonverbal cues are huge.
They really are. And seeing yourself in the mirror provides instant feedback on that front. Are you frowning when you're trying to sound friendly? Are you looking away nervously? You can catch these things and consciously work on presenting yourself more confidently and engagingly while you practice the language itself.
So it builds confidence not just in your language ability, but in your ability to perform communication in English.
Exactly. It bridges that gap. It makes the idea of standing in front of another person and speaking English feel less daunting because you've literally practiced the visual aspect of it with yourself. You've seen yourselves do it successfully.
So find a mirror. Don't be shy. Ask yourself questions, describe things, tell yourself a story, and pay attention to how you look while you do it. It's a confidence builder.
Definitely worth trying. Okay, ready for the final core technique from our sources.
Bring it on.
This one is specifically designed to ramp up the speed and responsiveness. It's called the 1-minute fluency drill. The goal here is to help you speak faster and think quicker in English.
Okay, drill sounds intense. How does it work?
It's actually very simple in structure, but the challenge lies in the execution.
Step 1.
Step 1. Choose a simple topic. Again, simplicity is your friend here because the focus is purely on maintaining outcome under pressure. The source example is perfect. Talk about your daily routine, something you know intimately.
Makes sense. Step 2.
Step 2. Set a timer for exactly 1 minute, 60 seconds. No more, no less. The strict time limit is what creates the drill-like pressure.
Got it. And step 3.
Step 3. Start talking about your topic. And here's the absolute key rule. Do not stop speaking until that 1-minute timer goes off. Keep talking no matter what happens.
No matter what. What if you completely blank? What if you can't find a word? You just freeze.
This is where the specific instruction from the source comes in, and it might feel unnatural first. If you get stuck, if your mind goes blank, or you can't retrieve that perfect word, the rule is don't pause, just say anything to keep going.
Say anything. What does that even mean? Like, just make noises.
Not quite noises, but basically, yes, keep the vocal cords vibrating with English sounds. The idea is to aggressively break the habit of freezing or lapsing into silence when you hit a linguistic snag. In a real conversation, long dead silences can kill the flow. This drill trains you to bridge those gaps.
So what could say anything look like in practice?
It could be using common English filler phrases like, well, or so, or let me see, or it could be repeating the last few words you said while your brain frantically searches. I went to the shop, and I bought. It could even be explicitly stating your problem in English. What's the word for that thing? The point isn't grammatical perfection in that moment. It's maintaining vocal output. Keep the channel open.
I get it now. It's about prioritizing flow over accuracy during this specific drill. It's training your brain not to shut down when challenged.
Exactly. The source explains that this exercise deliberately trains your brain to think and speak at the same time, forcing that connection under pressure, which is precisely what happens in spontaneous, real-time conversation. You don't always have time to meticulously plan every sentence.
You have to retrieve vocabulary quickly, assemble grammar on the fly.
Precisely. This drill pushes those skills. It makes you practice accessing language rapidly, even if it's imperfect. You prioritize getting the message across, keeping the conversation moving, over constructing a flawless sentence. And that's a huge part of perceived fluency.
And the sources say that doing this consistently leads to long-term benefits.
Yes, the cumulative effect is significant. Regularly practicing this 1-minute drill, maybe just once or twice a day, is highlighted as leading to speaking more smoothly and naturally over time. You'll likely find yourself pausing less in real conversations, accessing words faster, and feeling generally more comfortable thinking on your feet in English.
It sounds like high-intensity interval training, but for your mouth and brain.
That's a great analogy. It builds mental resilience against getting stuck. It reduces that fear of silence or not knowing the perfect word right away. And it implicitly teaches you coping strategies, like using fillers or rephrasing, which, let's be honest, native speakers use constantly.
True. So the takeaway is, grab a timer, your phone is perfect. Pick a super simple topic you know well. Hit start. Talk for 60 seconds without stopping. If you get stuck, say anything in English to keep the sand going. Don't worry about perfection. Focus on flow.
That's the essence of it. A powerful tool for building speed and confidence.
Okay, wow. Those are 4 really concrete techniques for solo practice. Talk to yourself, record your voice, use the mirror, and do the fluency drill. Now, you mentioned zooming out a bit, looking at broader context.
Yeah, because understanding why this kind of practice is so valuable beyond just the mechanics can be really motivating, and the sources offer some interesting cultural insights.
Like what?
A key point that comes up is about confidence. In many English-speaking cultures, the sources state that confidence is key.
That sounds important for learners to know. What does it mean in practice?
Well, the material suggests that even if your grammar isn't perfect, and let's face it, whose is, even among native speakers sometimes, people often value and respond positively to how you communicate. They often prioritize how smoothly and confidently you speak.
So fluency and delivery can sometimes matter as much, or maybe even more, than perfect grammatical accuracy in those contexts?
In many everyday interactional contexts, yes. The sources specifically mention countries like the US, the UK, Australia, as places where people generally admire good communication skills. And the focus tends to be more on fluency and expression than on perfect grammar.
That's fascinating. It doesn't mean grammar isn't important at all, obviously.
Not at all. Clarity is essential, and good grammar contributes to clarity. But what it implies for learners is that striving only for grammatical perfection to the point where you become hesitant, slow, and afraid to speak might actually be counterproductive to effective communication in these environments.
So focusing on getting your message across clearly, confidently, and with reasonable flow, even if there are a few minor mistakes, might be a more effective initial strategy.
That's what the cultural context suggests. And think about it. The solo practice techniques we just discussed, they're all geared towards building that exact kind of confident fluency. Talking to yourself builds automaticity. Recording helps you smooth out rough edges. Mirror work boosts visual confidence. The fluency drill increases speed and reduces hesitation.
So practicing solo directly develops the skills that are often highly valued in real-world English interactions. It's not just about linguistic accuracy. It's about communicative competence.
Precisely. Confidence helps bridge gaps, makes interactions smoother, and often makes listeners more forgiving of minor errors because the overall communication is effective. It's about connection.
That's a really powerful motivator. And there was another point too, right? About overcoming the potential awkwardness of solo practice.
Yes. This is crucial for anyone feeling a bit self-conscious about talking to their reflection or narrating their breakfast cereal. The sources offer this fantastic insight. Solo practice methods like these, they aren't just for language learners. Many native speakers use them too.
Really?
Yeah.
Native speakers talk to themselves and record their voices to practice.
Absolutely. It totally normalizes the experience. You're not doing something weird or remedial. You're using a legitimate technique for honing communication skills.
What's the example the sources give?
The main one cited is public speaking. Many public speakers practice alone before they speak in public. Think about people preparing for presentations, giving a speech, going for a high-stakes job interview.
They rehearse, of course. They don't just walk in cold.
Exactly. And how do they rehearse alone? The source points out they use methods remarkably similar to what we've been discussing. They talk to themselves in front of a mirror, record their voice, and rehearse their speech.
Wow. So the very same techniques we're recommending for building basic fluency and confidence in English are the ones native speakers use at the highest levels to refine their clarity, delivery, impact, and flow.
It's a huge validation, isn't it? Practicing alone is confirmed by the sources as actually a technique that even native speakers use to improve their speaking skills.
Right.
It's not a second-best option. It's a fundamental part of developing strong verbal communication, whatever your starting point.
That really reframes it. If native speakers need solo practice to fine-tune their message structure, their emotional connection, their pacing, then it makes perfect sense that learners need it to build foundational automaticity, confidence, and accuracy.
It allows for that crucial element of deliberate practice. In a solo setting, you can pause, repeat, analyze, focus intensely on a specific weakness you identified maybe from a recording without the pressure or complexity of a live interaction. Both learners and native speakers benefit immensely from that focused environment.
So next time you feel silly talking to the mirror, just picture a CEO or a politician doing the same thing before a big speech.
It definitely helps put it in perspective.
Okay, this has been incredibly insightful. We've unpacked 4 solid techniques: talking to yourself, recording, mirror work, fluency drills, and explored the cultural context and the fact that even natives practice this way. It really builds a strong case for the power of solo speaking practice.
It really does.
Yeah.
These aren't just abstract ideas. They're concrete actions grounded in what works based on the material we studied. And now, really, the ball is in the listener's court. It's time to move from listening to doing.
So we have a challenge for everyone listening, right? Pulled directly from the source's suggestion.
We do. A practical 3-step challenge you can try literally today.
Okay, lay it out for us. Step 1.
Step 1, choose a really simple topic. Your breakfast, what's on your desk right now, your plan for the next hour. Then try the talk to yourself method. Actually speak out loud or quietly, describing it for just 1 minute. Think of it as combining that basic narration with the time constraint from the fluency drill. Just keep the English coming for 60 seconds.
Got it. 1 minute of talking to yourself about something simple. Step 2.
Step 2. Either record that 1 minute you just did, or pick another simple topic and record yourself talking about it for 1 to 2 minutes, using the voice recording technique. Then, and this is key, listen back specifically aiming to spot any mistakes or areas for improvement. Don't get overwhelmed. Just try to identify maybe one pronunciation issue or one grammar pattern you notice. Just 1 or 2 things to be aware of.
Okay, record and identify one thing. And step 3.
Step 3. Find a mirror bathroom, bedroom, phone, camera, anything. Try the mirror speaking challenge. Ask yourself one simple question and answer it. While you do, consciously watch how you express yourself. Notice your mouth, your facial expression, your eye contact with your reflection. Just experience seeing yourself communicate in English.
Talk, record, mirror. 3 simple steps.
Exactly. Completely doable right now, no partner needed. This is the starting point for building a consistent solo practice habit.
And we genuinely want to hear how this goes for you. Or maybe you already have your own favorite solo methods. Expert speaker, what did the source suggest listeners share with us?
Yeah, the material directly prompts you, the listener. Tell us, what's your favorite way to practice English alone? Or, if these techniques are new, which of the challenge steps did you try? What felt easy? What felt weird? What did you notice? Share those experiences in the comments or wherever you connect with us. Your feedback is super valuable.
It really is. It helps everyone learn. Now, speaking of learning more, our sources hinted at what's coming up in the next deep dive, didn't they?
They did. We've talked a lot today about producing spoken English. But related to that is the speed at which your brain can actually process and generate English thoughts.
Ah, the thinking speed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the next deep dive is set to explore specific methods designed to train your brain to think in English faster.
Oh, that sounds like the perfect follow-up to today. First, how to practice speaking alone, and then how to speed up the thinking behind it.
It seems like a natural progression, doesn't it? You should provide another layer of tools for fluency.
Definitely looking forward to that one, so don't miss it.
Until then.
Keep talking, keep practicing these solo techniques, and honestly, try to find the enjoyment in the process of learning English. You now have real, concrete strategies to practice speaking whenever you want, wherever you are, even if it's just you.
Bye for now, everyone.
See you next time for the next deep dive.
And hey, just a final thought to leave you with as you go about your day. Mull this over. If highly fluent native speakers routinely use techniques like talking to themselves or recording their voice, not just for basic fluency, but to refine their communication skills, their clarity, their impact, What does that suggest about the true power and legitimacy of practicing alone?
Or maybe think about it this way. We often think fluency requires finding someone to talk to, but what if it's actually more about consistently training your own brain and your own mouth to produce English confidently and spontaneously? If that's the case, where's there just one tiny opportunity, maybe just 60 seconds, in your day today or tomorrow, where you could deliberately inject a little bit of solo English practice?
Could be describing the traffic while you wait, narrating making coffee, asking and answering one question in the mirror before you leave the house. These small, consistent solo efforts. The sources strongly suggest they are the hidden engine driving progress for so many successful English speakers. Something to consider.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for joining this deep dive.
Until next time.